I'm going to go with Houston over Miami. The world seems to be forgetting about how good the Houston offense was to start a year when Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback. I wrote about this in my fantasy football article for The Athletic earlier this week. Uh, Over the first two games of the season, now Taylor misses the second half of the second game, but over the first 2 weeks of the season, the Houston Texans ranked ninth in offensive points per drive, 2.52 yards per or points per drive. Really good total. Since then, 0.91 points per drive, a pace that's dead last. So you're going to bring him back. The offense is going to get a nice spike there. Miami's defense hasn't held up well this year. They allowed 26 points in 6 of the past 7 games. They've allowed 6 yards per play. I mean, 6 yards per play. That's not just per pass play. That's per every play. Miami's offense, they do have some firepower, but I think they're not anywhere near as good as Houston's offense. If Taylor is going to be back, David Culley's already confirmed that he is going to be back. With Taylor back, I think the Texans have enough of an offensive edge. I actually think they're probably going to win this game outright. But you give them 5.5, and the spread was 6.5 earlier this week. It's 5.5 now. You give them 5.5. I think that they're easily going to cover this.
KC, usually when we agree, just for the sake of differentiating a little bit, I like to do something a little bit different. You make your picks first, and then if there's something we agree on, I go in a different direction. I leave one behind because we want to make as many good picks as possible. This was one, however, that I could not leave behind. We are on the exact same page. Give me the Texans plus 5.5 over the Dolphins. This was actually at 7.5 to start the week, and I wrote about this in my early lines column. I jumped on it then because you were getting more than a touchdown, and we just had a good sense that Tyrod Taylor was going to be able to return this week. He was close to returning last week, and so it just seemed like it was pretty sure that he was going to be back this week. You said it all about what they were able to do in those first two games of the season. That first game, the win over the Jaguars that we all remember, and then the second game when Tyrod was in there, that was a 14-14 game at halftime against the Browns. Then he had to give way to Davis Mills. The Browns end up winning that game 31-21. But if we go back, and I'll just put it into Tyrod's statistical numbers here. So he's played 3 halves of football this season, 31 for 44, 416 yards, 9.45 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Texans scored 51 points in those 3 halves of football. Are they a good team with him? No. Are they a good offense? I think they approach being something of a good offense. They're certainly a competent offense, and he is a much better quarterback than really he's ever gotten credit for being at any of the stops he's made along the way in his career. There is no way there is a 5.5-point difference between the Texans and the Dolphins when Tyrod Taylor is Houston's quarterback. You could say that the Dolphins are still a better team. They're playing at home. Like, I would maybe quibble with it, but I don't think you're crazy if you think the Dolphins are a better team playing at home than Houston. But there is no way they are 5.5 points better than Houston at home. Really like this spot for Houston. I am with you. I like Houston as a straight up winner in this game as well. And you said it, right? Miami's got some offensive firepower, but suddenly they're not going to have Devontae Parker in this game. This one came out of nowhere on Friday morning. He is now listed as doubtful after suffering a setback in his return from injury. So that's a huge chunk coming out of Miami's offense. I love the Texans here. I don't think there's anything that can talk me out of not only, I know there's nothing that can talk me out of 5.5. I don't think there's anything that could talk me out of taking the Texans straight up to win this game, Casey.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the world just doesn't recognize, like you said, how good Taylor. You go back to his Chargers days, you go back to his Buffalo days, and you look at how good he's been. I mean, he's not a great quarterback, but Davis Mills might be the worst quarterback in the league right now, and right. You're getting at least middle of the road, middle of the league better, and probably better than that.
There's no way that you can look at Tyrod's career all the way back to the Buffalo days and say he's not like a league average quarterback. And that is just a massive, massive upgrade from what the Texans have had in Davis Mills over the last couple of months of this season. So we are both on the Texans plus 5.5 at the Dolphins.